Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for attending and for listening to me. I promised you last time that I'll start giving my sessions and presentations in the English language. And today is the first presentation in the English language. I remove now the mask to make my voice more clear. I put it here. And as I mentioned before, the talk will be about the food safety. And the food safety, you know, it is a very important topic, and also the scope of food safety and the meaning of food safety is quite large, so it will take me some time. And I was thinking where to start speaking about the food safety. I found out that from my personal observations, from my consultancy visits, and from my audits, I have noticed that we need to pay more attention to the food preservation, food storage, food transportation. And this is the starting point to deal with the food safety. What that means? That means that after harvesting the crops or the food, whatever it is vegetable or fruit or grain, or meat coming out of the slaughterhouse, or chicken coming from the slaughterhouse, or fish coming out of the river or the sea or the pool, or all the perishable foods need to be handled with care, need to be stored under the right environmental conditions, including the temperature, including the moisture, including the hygiene of the storage facility and circumstances, plus other factors like the performance of the staff taking care of this storehouses and so on. What is important to talk about is the food, when the food is kept in the warehouses, and you know these warehouses for the perishable food will be either chillers or freezers. And what I mean by perishable foods, we can classify the foods into two types, perishable and non-perishable. Perishable food is the food which easily could be spoiled, could be wasted, and could become unsafe for consumption. This is the perishable food. A non-perishable food is another story. Why? Because the nature and the requirements of the storage facilities are different. Today I'll speak about storage of perishable food. Perishable food will be stored in the cold chain, what is called cold chain. Either it is chillers or freezers or other types of keeping the food under the right conditions, especially the right temperature, the right moisture, and the right hygiene. To tell you how much important this point to talk about, I would like you to take you to some international figures telling us how big is the capacity of the cold chain facilities all over the world. In the world, I'll use the presentation now. As you can see that I have given a comment here that we need to modernize the food cold chain units, make them more modern. It is not only to switch on and start cooling or start freezing or maintain cooling and freezing and that's it. No, there are other things we have to consider in improvement and modernization, or even revitalization of the cold chain industry. Okay? Here you have the figure of this total capacity of refrigerated food warehouses, okay, worldwide, all over the world, is 719 million cubic meters into 2020, in the year 2020. It's huge capacity. It is 719 million cubic meters. You can imagine how much food is kept in these cold chain units and how much the value, the cost of these foods. And if these units are not being managed in a modern way and in an effective way, you can imagine how much wasted food we might have or how big the losses will be. Okay? If we detail for certain countries how much the cold chain holding units capacity is, we start with the biggest country with the biggest capacity is the United States. The United States cold chain units capacity, storage capacity, is 156 million cubic meters. This country, the United States, is the biggest in the world as far as the available figures. And you know these figures are coming from reliable sources. I'll mention it later on. The second country in the volume of the cold chain capacity is India. The total capacity in India is 150 million cubic meters. You see, okay. We take another country, we take China. China also, the total capacity of the cold chain units in China is 131 million cubic meters. This tells us how big is this storage capacity, and we can even go to here is the source before I go. I have mentioned where did I get these figures, and it's modern figures. It's figures taken in 2020, in the year 2020, in last year. If we go to more details about the world, I don't want to take more time in this, but I give you an idea about the whole, again, United States storage capacity in the cold chain, then after that India, then after that China, then other countries come here, Japan, here Great Britain, here, and so on. So until the smallest one in Switzerland is 1 million cubic meters, in Morocco 2 million, in Egypt 2 million cubic meters, the storage capacity in the cold chain. Okay, this just to give you an idea about the different countries and their capacity to store or to hold the perishable food in their cold chain units. Of course, now these cold chain units are operated by electricity, as we all know. And if I, for example, speak about the United States, we might first think that, United States, they have around 156 million cubic meters holding capacity, and they are, driven or powered by electricity, and this is advanced country, and there will be no problem. The situation is not like that. Actually, if there is interruption in the electrical supply to these storage units, there will be a big problem. The food there, stored there, might be now liable for spoilage or liable for to be wasted or to become non-fit for human consumption. And how this might happen? Because of the hurricanes happening most often in the United States, because of the snowstorms, because of the rainstorms, because of the overflooding, because of the strong wind and other things. So, and it's happening. So when there is outage of the power supply to these units are not operating anymore. So what we need, what I suggest here, I suggest to minimize the opportunities for having a serious problem towards the safety of the food being stored in these cold chain units, we need to make these units are not completely dependent on the electricity coming from generation plants somewhere in the country. So what you want us to do, it's not you to do, the manufacturers, the makers of these cold units, chillers or freezers, they need to renovate, they need to change the way how we operate these units. Okay, to give you an example, now, why don't we supply these cooling units or cold chain storage units with batteries, and the source of the energy of the power will come from battery. And this battery is chargeable battery, rechargeable. If the battery is connected to the electricity, main electricity power coming from the generating plants, it will be fully charged, and then we don't need to run these cold chain units by the electricity itself, it will be run by the battery. So if there is any problem with the supply of the electricity, the units will continue operating because these are batteries. It is exactly like now, electrical vehicles. Thanks God, now these vehicles are available on our streets here in Dubai. We see them everywhere we go. These cars are driven by batteries. No petrol, no fuel, no gas, nothing. Battery. This battery is being charged overnight, and then I can switch on this electrical car and drive down to Abu Dhabi, go to anywhere, and come back. So this battery was able to operate a car. Now the batteries industry is developing very fast, and we need to use batteries to operate these cold chain units, and these batteries will guarantee that if there is outage of power anytime for any reason, then these cold chain units will not be interrupted in their work, and the food inside them will not be wasted, it will not be exposed for spoilage, or it will not lose its normal characteristics. Okay, so this is very important suggestion. I hope the cold stores manufacturers will take the advice. I am giving them free of charge advice. I know there are trials in the world on this use, and I can show you some pictures here showing that yes, some manufacturers started already trying using these batteries, but still it is on the very small scale, and I hope it will increase, and I hope to go to any cold store anywhere in the world for wholesale or for retail. It will be operated by battery, not by the direct electricity or electrical supply. This picture here, you can see that these are batteries, and these batteries are rechargeable. They are connected, the batteries are connected to the electricity until they are fully charged, and then the electricity will be switched off of them automatically, of course, and then these units, these batteries will operate the cooling or cold storage itself, and then it will not be affected by the condition of the electricity, and this battery might be able to operate a big warehouse, a chilled warehouse for 12 hours or even more. It depends on how the technology of manufacturing these batteries will be considered, and it's expected to be very advanced technology. The food is kept in huge warehouses where the whole sale is there or for export, and also the food is kept in private warehouses for the food manufacturers or meat producers or chicken producers or this type of thing, or seafood on the ocean or on the seaports where the fishing industry is taking place. You imagine there are huge cold stores there where the perishable food is kept. And even if you remember, when we go to the supermarket even now, or a big grocery, how big is these stores or chilled stores or display stores are. We can have a look here. Look, this is the store of the fresh chilled carcasses waiting to be butchered and to be sold to the consumers. And here you can see the dairy products here. This is a chiller, a very big chiller. Most of the time doors are open and the consumers are picking up their purchasing from these chillers. Also another type of chillers where we can keep cheese and we can keep juice and drinks and different food stuff. So you see that the capacity of these stores in the retail stores or in the groceries is big. Sometimes in big stores for supermarkets is so large, and the capacity, the value of the chilled food kept in their stores might reach almost very close to $1 million. And if we still depend on the normal electricity in chilling, and there's any problem with the electrical supply, you imagine how much money is going to be lost, plus the problem of lack of supply and so on, or shortage of supply. So the battery is the solution to avoid such situation. Thank you very much. Today I'll finish with this part, but I have a lot of ideas to speak about the cooling units, big size or small size, either it is in a grocery or a supermarket or in a kitchen, in a hotel or in a catering company, or even at home. These cooling units or refrigerators also, they need to be modernized and revolutionized, and we need to make them more smart. Inshallah, next time I'll talk about this type of cold stores. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.